out of spite because of all the fucking hateful shit that she said and did. Like, I didn't even really feel love anymore. To me, it got to a point where I was like, you know, it felt disrespectful to fuck her because, like, I didn't care about her. So it was like, you know, there are just all kinds of weird shit that happens, you know, and I feel like that expectation depends on what kind of psychological just effort you put into the relationship overall.
No,
yeah,
I think it comes from.
I get it.
I think it comes from passivity.
I get it. I just don't agree with it because I don't think it's cause and effect. I don't think you can just make somebody. You can't just make a person want to do what they don't want to do. You know, if that's just not there, they just don't have the drive. But I agree with doing all you can do. But sometimes you just get a frigid chick that's just not really a big sex fan.
Well, yeah, and I mean, talking about what Dave said is about, you know, like saying like, oh, I can't stand, I hate hearing him breathe, you know, like to where you've been with somebody and you just hate things about them, and it's not really necessarily the way they breathe. It's like there's something else going on. I think there's something to being said for when you're with somebody who's passive, when you're with a man who has these passive traits. And by passive, I mean, like, and by passive, I don't mean like, oh, well, you got this big aggressive person who's throwing around his weight and stuff. But I think in a lot of ways that aggressiveness is more attractive to a woman than passiveness, because if you're with somebody and he's not addressing issues in the relationship and is passive about them and stuff, there's going to be resentment, and that resentment is going to manifest itself in things like, oh, I can't stand to hear him breathe. I can't stand to be around this person. You know, if you're with somebody who has a fucking drinking problem and it's affecting the relationship, it's affecting the household, things like that, that person's passivity to deal with their disease, their problem, or whatever, is going to make it to where you hate everything about that person. You're not going to want to be open sexually with that person and stuff because they're passive. They're not dealing with the issues in the house and trying to move forward. I think women will deal with a lot of bullshit from a man, so long as a man is willing to actually work on things and become better at those things. But but sometimes the man just isn't interested because he's not interested in changing, or he might not actually really be that interested in keeping the relationship going. If it's the difference between changing a behavior or actually losing a relationship, if he's not really that vested or caring in the relationship anyways, he'll choose to be passive just to not change his behavior.
Well, you sound really experienced in that department. You broke that shit down. So let me ask you this. Have you guys ever been in a relationship? I didn't mean to stab at you, Bo, but yeah. I did that. I'm sorry. I did that.
No, that's fine. That's what it's all about, man.
A lot of our perspective and opinions are really shaped by our perspectives and experiences because that's what we know, you know. Have you ever been in a relationship, and this might speak to some of my delusional thinking, but have you ever been in a relationship and you did everything right, like fucking Peter Perfect, and this chick was still just doing shit, that it wasn't cause and effect, it was just her, like she didn't want to put out as often as I wanted. It was like, damn, you know, look, I'm knocking it out the box. Maybe I was knocking it out the box too well. I don't know. But have you ever just been doing all the calls correctly and you still weren't getting the effect that you should have been getting?
I mean, so yeah, that was one thing that I talked about too. Like one of my relationships that I had, that was the reason that it failed. So, you know, she eventually, we had a really like passionate, hardcore relationship, and then all of a sudden, like, she just dropped off, and a couple days went by, and she's like, I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm not going to run from it. She's like, you're just perfect. She's like, everything that you do is the things that I've dreamed of and that I always wanted from the guys that I've been with. And now that you've given me all of that, like, you've made me see it and feel what it feels like to be with a guy who's like that, who just loves me and cares about and does everything right. I don't want it anymore. Like, I don't want to. She's like, literally, like, I kind of want to be treated like shit a little bit. Like, I like being treated like shit just a little. And I'm like, okay, well, enjoy being treated like shit just a little, because, and then it was over. That was it. That was the last conversation.
What about you? See, I agree. Sometimes we find somebody that can't handle all this perfection, but that's in a not so extreme case. It's just in a normal relationship. It's just sometimes you put in the effort and you don't get the reward back, or sometimes you just get some type of weird treatment that doesn't. It's not like in alignment with what you bring to the table. Like, hey, I'm doing everything right. Why aren't things working out this way, the way that I think it should? Because I'm bringing my part to the table. Where's the rewards that I think I should be getting? I'm just questioning the whole cause and effect part of relationships. Because women are like really weird, and they do shit and it's not logical. I think maybe that's why we have problems with them, is because they don't subscribe to the logic. Like, hey, I'm working, I'm paying the bills, I'm doing all this shit, I'm rubbing your back. Can I get a blowjob? Fuck no, motherfucker, I don't feel like it today. What? Am I the only one that feels like that? Come on, let's be honest.
Oh, we got a caller though. I'm interested in what they have to say. Let's see. Bo, do your thing.
Where did Bo go? Bo?
Oh, shit. Hey, I'm sorry. I was on mute. I was actually talking about getting a caller in here, and then I was on mute because my mom called me, and my mom's in the hospital, so it was important. But we do have a caller, and maybe the caller has some insight on whether or not they should be getting blowjobs, or, maybe giving blowjobs. I don't know. It's completely open. Caller, still live on the Dapper Baboon Show. What is your name?
Hey guys, it's Jenny. How you doing?
It's Jenny. She is very experienced in getting blood.
I tuned right into the blowjob section there. Yeah, that's when I tuned in. Yeah. I was going to just listen as opposed to calling in, and I noticed a couple people commenting on the page there saying that they're having a hard time connecting, and so was I. So when I went to hit play just to listen, it was kind of malfunctioning. So maybe you want to tell everyone, or I put it in the comments, or maybe on the Facebook page, to call in if they want to connect and hear live. If not, the archived version is available.
Let me take a look.
We got our techie guy on the line.
Yeah.
Is it Dapper Baboon?
Yeah, I had a buddy tell me he told me that it just keeps going, dropping in and out. What I would suggest to people is, I have noticed that two things. One, when you're on the when you have it pulled up, you can then undock the player. That usually helps. And also, it seems like if you open up Facebook, and this goes for any other app, if you open up Facebook on your phone, it takes so much resources, it usually shuts down other things that are going on in the background. So pick your poison on that.
Yeah, what kind of cheap piece of shit phone do you got?
Right, right. If you have a shitty phone, what you should do is press pound, and throw that shit out the window and go buy you a real phone, and then you won't have these problems, right?
Hey man, I'm on my Motorola Razr here, man.
Don't open Facebook. Don't text anybody.
So what are you
I just
talking
got
about,
some interesting news.
Jenny, if your man was to look at you and go, "Hey, I need you to suck my dick right now," what would you do?
Well, it can go a couple different ways. I could be pretty down for it, or I can be like, no, I don't feel good. I got a headache. I got to wash my hair. I'm busy, So it could go one of two ways, but I would normally not appreciate being barked at in that manner. Generally, women will want to be romanticized, just a touch, not just a demand. So I heard you say, well, if I'm paying the bills and I'm rubbing your back and I'm being a good supportive partner, you should do what I want you to do at all times. I think that's just being a bit inflexible. And then I think the woman might not want to sit under that, so maybe she'll go get a job too, so then she can have more to put in the pot, and then you can give her head when she demands it.
Yeah.
Hey, I will give. I must say, okay, in my experience, if I have asked for a blowjob, the response is usually no when I ask for it. But when I say, down on your knees and suck this dick, in that way, it's usually much better results. I'm just saying, you have to have that confidence. You say, do it, and
Thug life.
Yes. But if you ask for it, it's like you're asking whether
here's the thing.
Them to do.
You know what the problem really is y'all have to ask for it. You know what I mean? I think that
it's a blessing to just be able to bend over.
You got to do some more throwing down, dude.
It's a blessing to be able to bend all the way down and take care of it yourself. But I wanted to say that, guys, we may or may not say it, but we want it, So what happens when you really want it? It's like, okay, I didn't say anything all week, and I'm just waiting on her because I don't want to say it, and then she says no. And then I got this little baby inside of me saying, man, this is some bullshit. So we just keep waiting, and see, that's all like an expectation, right? Because, why do I expect it? Because I've been good. I've been doing the right things. I've been good. I deserve it. I keep washing this thing. Like at some point, is she going to come and just handle this business? Like, I'm just putting it into like really short, like really clear, maybe not so eloquent terms. But I think, and vice versa, doesn't the woman, want it? And how do you feel when somebody says, no, I'm not doing that, and you want it? And it's like been a month now. Like, how do we deal with this?
Well, that's something completely different. A whole month? Oh, there's something off with either the hormones of one of the partners, so they're not craving sex, and then maybe the hormones are changing, depends on how old the person is. But yeah, I would look at that and discuss that intensely with my partner. If a month had gone by and there's no connection in the intimate and sexual way, I would think that there might need to be something just to be talked about. And sometimes stress can kill the mood. Sometimes absorbent stress can just kill our hormones. So that's definitely something that needs to be addressed. And it's not so much of a demand or ask anymore. It's like, hey, let's look at this. As men age, they have issues. As women age, they have issues. And it's just part of being open with your partner and talking about that. But sometimes people shouldn't be together anymore. Sometimes they have so much resentment for each other, they just can't get into that intimate sexual place with each other. And that's when some potential counseling needs to come in for the romantic part, the relationship part, sexual part.
So, and here's my problem. I have the opposite. So, like, I've had relationships where I've stayed in them just because of the sex, and the other person has too. Like, where it's just sex the whole time. And I have a problem, like, connecting emotionally and, like, getting to the point where, like, there's trust and, like, faith and belief and, like, all this, like, this bond between each other. It's just this animalistic, like, primal sex all the time. And I don't get to ever, like, love them, and they don't get to ever love me because we never talk about it, and we never do it, and we never try. Like, it's like, I don't know. That's because I'm trying to understand, like, why would you ever,
I can relate.
I don't know.
I was that way in a relationship with myself for several years. And then I, branched out because I didn't care about me, but I was just jerking fiercely all the time. But what I want to ask is, like, when you have that relationship that's not the same one that Dave just described, but is like the opposite, where you really have all this intense caring, and you just are really satisfied with each other's company. But, the years go by, and your body start going to shit, and you're just not sexually attracted. and the partner is horny, and you're like, no, like, what do you do? Like, what do you, huh? They make a pill